Hello aspirants, welcome to GS Score. I'm Ashutosh and let's see today's current affairs through MCQs, our initiative for prelims and how to solve the questions, what to read in which news and how to understand the concept therein. Okay, so let's see the first topic of the day. So we have taken some few topics, 5 in number. The first topic pertains to the section 144 CrPC. Actually, what happens that in the current scenario, in the scenario of elections, at times the district magistrate or the sub-divisional magistrate, they enforce the section 144 CrPC 1973, will deals with the imposition of a law wherein the 4 or more person cannot gather at one place. And against this, a petition has been filed in the Supreme Court that has urged the Supreme Court to look into the matter that how come the executive magistrate and the DMs are enforcing the section 144 till the conclusion of the election. So it means approx 2.5 months. And according to some laws of the CrPC, it can only extend to 2 months at a large, and maximum the extension can be from the state government up to 6 months. Okay. So basically Supreme Court में ये case आया था, and that case Supreme Court has asked the executive magistrate कि how come you can impose the section 144 CrPC without any substantial material evidence. Here material means that you have some facts to show that this is impending danger on the peace or the law and order. So that's why I am implying the section 144 CrPC. Okay. Further, there was an issue that the district magistrate or the executive magistrate are not taking any decision with regard to the permission which has been sought by the petitioners or any other one to assemble themselves or to organize a peaceful assembly. Okay. So citing that 144 CrPC, that has been ignored or not being, the permission has not been given. So that's why this was in news and it's the most significant aspect. So we have taken a question on the CrPC section 144. Then the FSSAI, Food Safety and Standard Authority of India Act. Basically why it was in news, because the sugar level in the Nestle, जो सेरेलक पीते हैं बच्चे लोग, दो infant, so in that Cerelac, the sugar content has been found from exceeding the limit. The limit has been exceeded 2.7 milligrams का वो एक exceed. That's why FSSAI, which is a controlling authority, which is a regulatory and standard making authority for the food production in India. So based on that, we have framed a question for you. Next is Shompen PVTG. Shompen PVTG means Shompens are a tribe of Andaman and Nicobar, and they are categorized as PVTG. Basically, why it was in news? Because of the Shompen has voted for the election for the first time in the history of India. Okay, and in their history also. Vasuki indicus, a species which has been found, and a BrahMos Missile, because India has given the first parcel of the BrahMos to the Philippines. So we have seen the topics of the day. Now see the 4 questions and the concept thereon. First of all, we look at the conceptual understanding. Okay, so section 144 CrPC 1973. Okay, see, in the laws of India, we have some codes. Now the codes have been changed, but basically the CrPC is the criminal procedure code, which means it gives a procedure for or a code for the procedure which has to be followed in terms of criminal justice system. Then we had IPC, Indian Penal Code, which deals with the code and the section which has to be used while penalizing. And then we have Evidence Act, which means that which kind of evidence and what kind of the evidence of the material shall be put into the court of law for the prosecution under the criminal justice system. Okay, so basic difference is that only. So section 144 of CrPC empowers the DM, SDM or the executive magistrate. So these are the authority in the state government, in the districts, which deals with the peace and tranquility in a certain area of their districts. So features simplified for you, that what it does, it prohibits the gathering of 4 or more people in a specified area, not for the whole state or the district, but of a specified area, until and unless being said explicitly that for a whole district. Okay. Imposed in urgent cases to prevent the trouble or harm to property. Urgent cases is a keyword here. अगर उसको feel होता है उसको DM को या magistrate को that if by employing the section 144 we can prevent any untoward incident, so he can employ that. So suppose for example any communal disturbance is going to happen in the area, so that he can impose section 144 CrPC to maintain the peace and tranquility. Further, it has also some restriction on carrying the weapons with a maximum punishment of 3 years. Agar despite that prohibitory order you are going to that reason, along with the weapon, जैसे कोई तलवार कर रहा हो या बंदूक, कोई भी ऐसी weapon which have the capacity to inflict harm will be punishable. No movement of the public and the institution of education shall remain closed, and no public meeting or rallies will be allowed. Further, there is one more important thing, that when you obstruct the law enforcement agencies by doing their duty, you will be punished. Then authorities can block the internet access, just like in Jammu and Kashmir erstwhile. Okay, so the internet access will also be, the blocking of the internet access will also be covered under the section 144 of CrPC when it is being employed or enforced. So basically aimed at maintaining the peace and order. Further, in terms of the duration, the maximum of 2 months has been given under the code, that at once when you employ that, when you enforce that, it will only for the 2 months, which might be extendable by the state government to a total of 6 months. Okay, but for that matter, you have to give the material evidences. What you have to give? The material evidences कि अभी ये situation है और ऐसा हो सकता है, तभी आप कर सकते हो, वैसे नहीं कर सकते हो. And how it can be withdrawn? Once the situation become normal, or any of the plea of any person, that situation is normal, and upon the circumstances, upon evaluating the circumstances and the broader observation, that might be withdrawn. Okay, so basically one more thing is important here, that we at times may confuse with the curfew and section 144 CrPC. So basically the difference lies in that section 144 prohibit the 4 or more people in the concerned area, while the curfew instructed to stay indoors for a पर्टिकुलर पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. जैसे अब 24 आवर्स का कर्फ्यू अनाउंस कर दिया गवर्नमेंट ने या डिस्ट्रिक्ट मजिस्ट्रेट ने, तो कर्फ्यू फॉर अ स्पेसिफाइड पीरियड ऑफ टाइम, पर्टिकुलर पीरियड ऑफ टाइम, which asks you to not to stay outdoor but indoor only, and the government puts a complete restriction on traffic as well, just like the corona, because at times some curfew has also been announced. In the corona times we have this kind of situation, 144 CrPC, and curfew mein ceilings were done by the authorities. Okay, so I hope the concept is clear to you. Now let's look at the questions which have been framed. So consider the following statement regarding the section 144 of the Code of Criminal Procedure 1973. The first statement says that it empowers the magistrate, yes true, of any state or UT in India to pass an order prohibiting the gathering of 4 or more people in a specified area. Okay, yes true, nothing wrong in that. Thus we have discussed this. This order, the order under CrPC section 144, can be passed against a particular individual or general public. Yes, it is can be passed against an individual also, that this person shall not venture out of the home or shall not be looked at this point of time, and a general public at large also. Okay, so these two are correct here, nothing wrong in that. Third is, an order under this section can remain in force for a period of not more than 2 weeks. Now here's the weeks has been given, so it will not be week but months. Okay, with an extended time limit for 2 months. So here time limit is for 6 months and 2 months. This you have to keep in mind. So which among the following is are incorrect? So only third was incorrect here. Okay, C will be the answer here. Next we have topic the FSSAI. Okay, basically FSSAI was in news due to the Consumer Affairs Ministry. Okay, and what it does, it has asked the FSSAI to initiate appropriate action against Nestle, which allegedly sells baby product with higher sugar content in India and not in European countries. So basically the news was that according to the report of a Swiss NGO, okay, the Public Eye and International Baby Food Action Network, IBFAN, the Nestle was selling the baby products with high sugar content over and above the international food safety guidelines in poorer South Asian, African and Latin American countries as compared to the markets in Europe. So basically it is the kind of discrimination, and beside the discrimination, the most important thing being that it's playing with the lives and the health of the children in these poor countries, in these developing countries. They are not doing so in Europe. So basically it is a violation of the trust also. So that's why the Consumer Affairs Ministry has asked the FSSAI to initiate an appropriate action against the Nestle for this kind of activities and non-regulatory provisions, okay, that they are not following the proper regulations in India with regard to the approved standard of food products and approved limit of the consumables like sugar, fat, etc. Okay, so basically what is FSSAI? FSSAI Okay, the Food Safety and Standard Authority of India, it is an independent body. Okay, it is also a statutory body created by the statute. So a statutory body and an independent body under the act known as the Food Safety and Standard Act, and under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, overseeing its operations. So basically it is under the Health Ministry. Okay, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. So in prelims you might encounter such question that under which ministry FSSAI is and under which act it is being governed. Okay, so basically three things important. It is a statutory body, independent, under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, governed by the Act of Food Safety and Standard Act 2006. Now why it was been formed? Okay, क्यों फॉर्म हुआ था ये? So basically the formation was to streamline, to regulate and fix a standard for the food products which is being consumed by the general public. Because food products ultimately, what is if the food product is harmful, what happens to our body will is no one guess. So particularly this was employed, this was passed to regulate and fix a standard for the food product so that the health is not compromised. Okay, and to fix an accountability of the food growers, manufacturers, etc. So it was formed to streamline various food related regulations that were previously scattered across the different ministries and departments, because it's a part of governance also. Okay, minimum government, maximum governance. So if different ministries में होगा scattered, तो क्या होगा उसका regulations थोड़ा ढीला पड़ जाएगा. So FSSAI began functioning in 2011. 6 में इसका पास हुआ था एक्ट, 2008 से इन्फोर्स हुआ था एंड 11 से ये पास होना स्टार्ट हुआ था. Focusing on self compliance rather than strict regulation. So basically what does it mean? It means that when the FSSAI gives license to food products or the food producers, they emphasize on the strict regulation, self-regulation, self-compliance. Okay. Say you have to maintain this kind of standard in your food products, and it is self-compliance. You will not enforce it very strictly because that will create a kind of licensing raj. So to avoid that, they have focus on the self-compliance कि अपने आप से आप उसका compliance करोगे. तो कोई भी रेस्टोरेंट्स को, होटल्स को, या जिनका 12 लाख से ऊपर इनकम हो, they need to take the license of the FSSAI for their food products, because that has to be governed by the some act to maintain that safety and the sanitation and the hygienic products. So basically, so that's why this has been prescribed by the FSSAI, that you will have to employ the self regulation rather than any strict regulations. Self compliance करेंगे तो हमें जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी आपका. Then its main process, what are the processes include? The food standards. FSSAI said looks into the food standards, safe food practices, licensing food businesses, ensuring compliance through inspection. Inspection is done by the food safety officers. Food safety officers, they are the ones who see into the compliance, and the flying squad of those officers check into that. Testing food, the test of food in the laboratory. So basically FSSAI क्या करता है, आपको एक लैब, लोकल लैब्स भी स्टैब्लिश करते हैं. They establish the local labs for the testing of the produce. Okay, and conducting citizen outreach through the promotion and the ad, etc. Okay, and what are the functions of the FSSAI? Of course, the food safety standard, granting licenses, food testing laboratories, advising the government on policies, collecting data on food, etc. You can read this in your PDF, which will be given by this in this link section. So, and for FSSAI has set a wide range of food products, including dairy, fat. This is important from prelims point of view in UPSC, that might be asked, that to whom they regulate, what kind of produce they regulate. Basically, dairy, fats, oil, fruits, vegetables, cereals, meat, fish, sweets, sweetening agents. Okay, because they also look for the sugar content, sucrose or fructose कितना उसके अंदर है नहीं है. Spices, beverages like cold drinks, coffee, etc. Proprietary food ingredients, irradiation of food, and the fortification of staple food like vegetable oil, milk, salt, rice, and wheat flour. Fortification, you can look into the by yourself. What is the food fortification or the biofortification? The task for you guys. Okay, this is the functioning of the FSSAI. Basic things have been discussed here. That what is FSSAI? It's regulating authority under which ministry it comes. Then what kind of food products it regulates and the standard it fixes on that. Okay, and why in news I have explained to you in the starting point. Let's see the questions based on this topic. So consider the following statement regarding the Food Safety and Standard Authority of India. First statement says that it is a statutory body under the Ministry of Consumer and Food Supply. Now this will be wrong. Why? because it is under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Okay, it is under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, not the Ministry of Consumer and Food Supply. First is wrong here. It has the mandate of both regulatory and standard setting body. Yes, correct. Nothing incorrect in that. Anyone selling or importing, okay, anyone selling or importing food in India needs a food license issued by FSSAI. So importing food means अगर आप बाहर से भी food मंगाते हो, you need to get a license from the FSSAI and you have to self-regulate yourself, self-compliance under that importing of the food also. So Nestle यहाँ कोई food manufacture कर रहा है, उसमें higher sugar content है, मतलब क्या हुआ इसका कि they are not following the regulatory provisions. Okay. Fourth statement, third is also correct. Under the regulatory standard, it provides that the information regarding saturated fat and the trans fat to be given only if fat content is more than 5%. Very true information. And only, see, from the UPSC point of view, very important, because trans fat, like found in the chips, burgers, etc., on the processed cooking oils also. So basically, it says that it will provide for the regulatory standard, and it provides that the information regarding the saturated fat and the trans fat to be given only if the fat content is more than the 0.5% within the limit. Okay, so that's why it is important from that point of view. So 1, 2, 3, 4 are correct here. Only one was incorrect due to the factual wrong of Ministry of Consumer Affairs. नहीं होगा, इसमें क्या होगा? Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. So C will be the right option here. Only 3. The next topic for us is the Shompen tribe. Now basically why they were in the news, okay, because for the first time the members of the Shompen, one of the particularly PVTG group in the country and who reside in the dense tropical forest of the Great Nicobar Island, took part in the election process by casting their votes in the Andaman and Nicobar Lok Sabha constituency, and 7 members of the tribe excised their franchisee. So basically, according to 2011 census, the number of tribe is 229. The number of people in the tribe is 229. Among them, the 7 members of the tribe excised their franchisee in this 2024 Lok Sabha elections के अंदर. So basically, very first time, for the very first time, that's why a very important news can be asked in the UPSC examination based on the topics related with them or the topic like PVTG. So let's look on the different aspect of this Shompen tribe and the related information with regard to it. So basically, Shompen are a tribe in the Great Nicobar. One thing you have to remember, a tribe from the Great Nicobar and they live in the dense areas. मतलब अंदर जाके dense areas में, under that tropical, not on the coast. Dense areas में रहते हैं, not on the coast. ठीक है, ये चीज important समझने के लिए. Shompen tribe from the Great Nicobarese tribe. So they are the most isolated tribes globally, with having no contact with outsiders. First of all, and of course, what the criteria for the tribal people, the PVTG, etc. They are the semi-nomadic. Nomadic means who lives on hunter and gathering and keep moving, not fixed at a one place, and they rely on hunting, gathering, fishing, etc. So basically, the Stone Age people we are reading in the history, so they will belong to that. Their food structures, of course, the primary food source, the forest food sources, and in particular, food they eat in terms of fruit is the pandanus fruit known as larope. Okay, then the population, as I told you, 229 according to 2011 census. The language they speak, they have an all language with multiple dialects. Okay, and yet we are in the process to decipher the language, which language their family belongs to. And then in the social structures, the families of the tribe consist of a nuclear units, like similarly we reading in the tribal people, in the people of the Stone Age people and the Vedic also. So husband, wives and unmarried children, and they practice both polygamy and monogamy. Monogamy मतलब एक ही विवाह किया उन्होंने, and polygamy मतलब multiple विवाह या शादी की गई है. So all these have been practiced into the Shompen tribe. Next is, if you see the term about, let's see the PVTG. PVTG, they are the particularly vulnerable groups, and they have been identified by the government of India, okay, based on some criteria, and they are the most vulnerable among tribal communities, and they often receive a smaller share of the tribal development funds compared to the more developed tribal group, despite their greater need for the support. So basically, what does we mean by that? In the group of scheduled tribes, okay, there are many scheduled tribes, and Among them, we have some tribes which receives very low fund and they are more vulnerable owing to, okay, owing to their declining population, reliance on the pre-agriculture technology, extremely low level of literacy and subsistence level of economy, and they are living the stagnant life. So STs who are living these life have been categorized into the particularly vulnerable tribal groups. And in 1975, this has been done by the recommendation of the Devhar Committee. Okay, very important from prelims point of view that the Devhar Committee in 1975, based on that recommendations, 52 tribal groups known as the PVTGs were recommended to be under that category. And presently, what is the number we have? 75 PVTG out of the 705 scheduled tribes in India. So number of scheduled tribes 705, latest data, and PVTG among them in 75. And these are distributed among the 18 states and 1 UT as per the 2011 census data. Now see, 1 UT means Andaman and Nicobar Island. This is the UT part of that. And in particular, if you see, the UPSC might ask you that they are spread across the states only, but it will be incorrect, as we are knowing the fact that Shompen belongs to the Nicobarese Island and it is a union under the union territory. So that's why you can also use the logics here by reading particularly the each and every information. And who has the highest population? The Odisha has the highest or the largest population of the PVTGs, exceeding 2.5 lakh individuals. Okay, I hope this concept of PVTG is clear to you. Now with regard to their position, they live in the Great Nicobar. They live in the Great Nicobar Islands. Okay, this is under the part of the Andaman and Nicobar group of islands. Okay, and the Andaman and Nicobar group of island, you will see in the your NCRTs also that they are separated by some water channels, and that has been known as the degrees: 9 degree, 10 degree, 8 degree. You must have it in NCRT. So at times it is important to understand the concept of water body channels also, that why we use the term degree and the water channels here. So basically, what is a channel? It is a broad open waterway that pass through two landmass lie close to each other. एक ये लैंडमास हो गया आपका, एक ये लैंडमास हो गया, इसके बीच से वाटर चैनल दैट माइट बी पासिंग थ्रू ईच अदर. सो बेसिकली इट कैन बी द अंडमान एंड निकोबार. ठीक है, so it is different from the strait. Straits are also there, but it is different. How? Because it is a relatively narrow body of water connecting two large bodies of water. Strait is the narrow body of water connecting to larger body of water, so that's why it is different from the strait. And it water channel connects the land masses, and here it is connecting with the large body of waters. Okay, and as per the one important site, National Geographic, the deepest part of the water or waterway or the narrow water body that connects to two large bodies of water. Okay, so channels are created by two processes, either by the glaciers or by the people. So when they are created by the glaciers, they carve out a deep canyons between the two land masses. Very important point. And the channels which are created by the people are usually dug for the shallow waterways to build a passage for the large ships. So basically two purposes have been there. One is physiographic, that it is made by the natural process, by the melting of the glacier or by the glaciers. They carve out a deeper canyons between two land masses. Very important from prelims point of view. It can be asked as a statement here. Now see the what are the water channels we are talking about here. So first of all, the 10 degree channel. So 10 degree channel क्या करता है आपका? It separates the Andaman Islands and the Nicobar Islands from each other in the Bay of Bengal. कहाँ पे? Bay of Bengal they will separate it and forms the Indian UT of Andaman and Nicobar Island. It is basically 10 degree channel. ठीक है? Then we have one other one, that is the 9 degree channel. Very important. It separates the island of Minicoy or the Minicoy Island from the main Lakshadweep or Laccadive archipelago. The Kalpeni and Sulahipar and Maluku atoll and Amingdivi subgroup together form the UT of Lakshadweep. Important from prelims point of view, the names and how these form the UT of Lakshadweep. Kalpeni, Sulahipar, Maluku atoll. So one question can be asked here. Atoll are the form of corals. So Lakshadweep is a coral island also. Okay. However, the most important part of 9 degree channel is that it is strategically very important. Kyun? Because it gives the passage for nearly all merchant ships between the Europe, Middle East and the Western Asia and the Southeast Asia and the Far East. Suppose this is the Lakshadweep wala cheez. Okay. So the merchant ships sailing from this to Europe, Middle East, okay, West Asia, the Southeast Asia, and the Far East. So this is acting as a body of water, okay, and it passes for nearly all merchant ship. Very strategic location of Lakshadweep. Then we have another 8-degree channel, which is basically a maritime boundary. Boundary means between two countries, that is the Maldives and India, which runs through the 8-degree channel. It separates the island of Minicoy and Maldives. That's why we have used the maritime boundary here. So confusion might be there, but let's clear for one more time. 10-degree channel, Andaman and Nicobar, 9-degree, Minicoy from Lakshadweep, and 8-degree. It created an international boundary Maldives and India के बीच में, ठीक है. Now let's look at the questions here. Very easy to solve the question if you are with the conceptual understanding. So the first statement says that Shompen are one of the PVTGs in the India living in the coastal regions of Andaman Island. So what is catch here? The coastal regions and Andaman Island. So any one of you reading for the UPSC must have that penchant, they must have that inquiry or the curiosity to look for the tribe known as Shompen, because they were in the news, and in particular the areas where they live, the region जहाँ लोग रहते हैं, the region of their living, and the locational part, very important from the prelims point of view. Any species, tribals are in the news, you have to look for these two important things. So they are not in the coastal region, but they are living in the dense forest or deeper in the region, okay? And they are of course the PVTGs, but not in the Andaman Island but Great Nicobar Island, okay? Not in the Andaman Island but Great Nicobar Island. They are from the interiors of the Great Nicobar Island and not the coastal region of Andaman Island. Second statement says, first is incorrect here. Second is, their small population, relative isolation and limited interaction makes them vulnerable towards any contact with the outside world. Yes, true, nothing wrong in that. Statement is true. That's why they have the PVTGs. The water body named 9-degree channel separate the Andaman Island in the north from the Nicobar Island in south. No, it is not the 9-degree channel, but this is the 10-degree channel. Just we have discussed. So of course 3 will also be wrong. 1 and 3 are wrong. So only 1 among how many of the following is correct? So only 1 is the correct option here. Okay, and only 1 was the statement 2 number was correct option here. Okay, I hope the point is clear to you. Next we have the topic Vasuki indicus. It's a snake species, and basically it is the old fossil of the species have been found from the Kutch region. So that's why this was in news. Okay. Based on that, let's you must understand this point, that what happened, the paleontologist that who are expert in the fossils and who are expert in the study of fossil of plant and animals, fossils of plant and animal, इनको read करते हैं, that is called paleontologist. India have unearthed a fearsome relic from the past, that is the snake. ठीक है, तो ये एक तरह का क्या था, ये snake था, snake species. You can read for yourself the next information which I have given to you. And it is one of the large and longest snake ever discovered. And कहाँ से मिला है? In the Kutch region of Gujarat, and the in particular is specified Pandro lignite mine in Kutch, and it dates back to 47 million years. Very important things, the site from which this fossil have been discovered and the age. Okay, and this new species have been named as the Vasuki indicus, on the name of the mythical spent encircled on the Lord Shiva. Okay, and this belong to the now extinct Maxodite snake family, and Maxodite are the Gondwanan terrestrial snakes. The Gondwana, you must have it in the geography, the ancient landmass, okay, before the drifting. So Gondwana land में एक Maxodite नाम का species था which was living, and now it was extinct, and it is believed that Maxodites का family से this Vasuki indicus was belonging to. And when it was living in the Maxodite were living in the time of upper Cretaceous period, that is the Cretaceous period, that is the 100 million to 66 million years ago, and the late Pleistocene period till the 12,000 years ago. This family of snakes is very pivotal group for our understanding. ठीक है, and this was published in the journal known as the Royal Society Open Science. ठीक है, now this giant mastodite which has been identified is one of the largest snakes ever reported, and it live in the warm middle Eocene period. ठीक है, most important information being this only. Next, the size which is being said to be so massive and giant. Why? Because particularly the indicus has rivaled the famous Tianoba, the monstrous snake. The Tianoba was, what was that? A monstrous snake, largest known predator in the period between the extinction of dinosaur, that is the 65 million ago, and here we have that. ये बताया था यहाँ पे आपको, mastodite से लग रहे थे. Then we have the dinosaurs extinction in 65 million years ago, MYA, and the first appearance of the megalodon roughly 23 million years ago. Okay, so basically that's why the length you can say exceeding 6.25 meter and 10 meter. It's a kind of world record. Now Y1 news, just I told you, a fearsome relic from the past, a giant predator 10-15 meters long, 47 million years ago इनका finding हुआ था, and named as Vasuki indicus. Based on that, a question has been given to you. The term Vasuki indicus recently seen used referred to an extinct snake species from Kutch. However, you also look at these options because these have been framed to confuse you. So basically, it will help you in the practice sessions. Next, the last topic we have, basically BrahMos Missile. And BrahMos Missile, it was in news because India has recently delivered the first batch of the BrahMos supersonic cruise missile, underline this part, to the Philippines. And why it has been delivered? Because they have a cooperation. India and Philippines have a cooperation, and there was a deal which was signed in 2022 that India will supply the 3 batteries of the missile, their launchers, and the related equipment. That the batteries of missiles, their launchers, and equipment will be shared with this, and it was the first export of the BrahMos missile by India. And the strategic point of thinking behind this relationship and partnership is that the China, which is growing in the assertiveness over the South China Sea, okay, not only Philippines, the Taiwan, etc., are also in that region, and they are basically the China is trying to assert its sovereignty over these regions. So that's why, in reflection of the growing military ties between the two nations amid China's muscle flexing in South China Sea. So it has a strategic motive also, of course, and done the defense deal of India and Philippines in January 2022. However, based on that, some other countries like Argentina, they have also shown the interest in the procuring of the BrahMos missile. Okay. So supplies have came over India, signed 375 billion, factual data here you can see with regard to it. Now specifically with regard to the BrahMos missile, we'll look into the various specifications. So what is the BrahMos missile? BrahMos missile is basically a long range nuclear capable supersonic missile system. ठीक है, इसका range क्या होगा? It is a long range. ठीक है, it can go to a longer range. Supersonic means more than the speed of sound. So 1 Mach से above होता है speed of sound का, उसको हम सुपरसोनिक कहेंगे, till the 5 Mach. And BrahMos is 2. अप्रॉक्स 3 Mach के आसपास ब्रह्मोस का कैपेबिलिटी है. ठीक है, एंड अबव द 5 Mach के जो अबव रहेगा वी कॉल इट अ हाइपरसोनिक. बेसिक डिफरेंशिएशंस, हाइपरसोनिक कहते हैं उसको हम लोग. ठीक है, तो इट इज बेसिकली न्यूक्लियर कैपेबल दैट इट कैन डिलीवर द न्यूक्लियर मिसाइल्स इन सिस्टम, एंड इट पोसेस द कैपेबिलिटी टू बी डिप्लॉयड फ्रॉम सेवरल प्लेटफॉर्म्स, कहीं से भी, फ्रॉम एयर, सी, लैंड, सबमरीन एटसेट्रा. And is capable of traveling at a speed of Mach 3. As I told you here, Mach 3 इसकी speed के वो travel कर सकता है. And one of the fastest cruise missile. Now cruise missile. What are the cruise missile? Cruise missile are basically those who fly in the straight angle. So let's see the example here. Okay, suppose this is a missile system, and here we have the navigator, and here the warhead. This is the warhead. Just a basic diagram to show you. Here is the initial navigation system being attached with the missile. कि कहाँ जाना है मिसाइल को, वहाँ ये लिखा होता है मिसाइल पे उनकी प्रोग्रामिंग के थ्रू. ठीक है, and here we have the jet engine which propels the missile. Jet engine which propels the missile, which gives it the force. ठीक है. In the cruise missile, basically the two type of missiles we have. One is the cruise missile and the other one is the ballistic missile. Difference lies in their maneuverability in the parabolic nature of the ballistic missile, and a cruise missile is basically a straight line missiles. ठीक है. And why it is a straight line missile, क्यों ऐसे fly करता है वो? Basically the BrahMos जो है एक cruise missile है, it is capable of evading the detection by the radars. ठीक है. That's why known as the cruise missile. And in the cruise missile, the jet we have just discussed, the jet gets the oxygen to be burned, to burn the fuel. ठीक है. So in the cruise missile, the jet engines help to get the oxygen, जो oxygen के माध्यम से ही इसका fuel burn होता है, and it helps to give the fuel to the missiles. And in particular, this technology helps to fly in the air for most of the time, and it has an inbuilt navigation. So basically the cruise missile ये ट्रैजेक्टरी है, तो यहाँ से लेकर यहाँ तक एक ट्रैजेक्टरी में आ सकता है. एंड हाउएवर इफ यू कंपेयर इट द ब्रह्मोस, यू मस्ट बी नोइंग, ब्रह्मोस को यहाँ से अगर हम फ्लाई करते हैं, इट कैन कवर द पैराबोलिक रेंज एंड गो टू द टारगेट. हाउएवर द क्रूज मिसाइल कैन इवेड द टारगेट. सपोज यहाँ से एक हमारा रडार लग गया है, सो रडार कैन डिटेक्ट द ब्रह्मोस मिसाइल इजिली before coming off into the system. However, to detect the cruise missile, it will be very difficult and it will be very late till the radar catches or detect the upcoming cruise missile. So it is most important point that is more helpful than the ballistic missiles. ठीक है. And with regard to the engines of the ballistic missiles have a rocket engine and they carry their own oxygen. ठीक है, because इनका ये नेचर जो पैराबोलिक है, so they need their own oxygen rather than taking the oxygen from the atmosphere. ठीक है. You must have heard the term ramjet, scramjet, etc. So jet engines in the cruise missile use the scramjet, ramjet, and however, with regard to the BrahMos missile, the ballistic missile with parabolic range, they have the rocket engines rather than the jet engines, and they carry their own oxygen. This allows them to operate in the space and follow the ballistic trajectory, that is the parabolic trajectories. ठीक है. I hope this point is clear to you. Now in UPSC it might be asked that what is the range. So basically the range of the ballistic missile are more than the cruise missile, because उनका जो nature of the cruise missile क्या है, वो ऐसे सतह से 15 से 20 मीटर के ऊपर 15 से 20 मीटर के ऊपर वो जा सकते हैं. However, the ballistic missile can go to 2000 km altitude. Okay. The range हम लोग नहीं, we are discussing the height here, not the range. ठीक है, keep in mind that. I hope the points are clear to you with regard to the differences between the cruise missile and ballistic missiles. ठीक है. Cruise will have the smaller parabolics. However, the ballistic will have the higher parabolics, and they use their own rockets, their own rocket engines, and what they use, their own jet engines. And jet get the oxygen to burn fuel from, and altitude is 20 km. I hope this point is clear to you. Now with regard to the BrahMos missile, coming to the news that it has the world fastest cruise missile system. It was developed by BrahMos. कब developed for the first time? In 2001. And why name BrahMos? BrahMos का name क्यों पड़ा? Because of the rivers Brahmaputra and Moskva. So it is basically a partnership between the Russia and India, and Moskva river in Russia and the Brahmaputra in the India. So that's why name BrahMos. And what is it? It's the supersonic cruise missile. Okay, above the range of the sound, above the sound speed, above speed of sound, that Mach 3 के आसपास. That's why supersonic. It has a steel technology. ठीक है. Also termed as low observable technology, and it is a subdiscipline of military tactics because this can help to evade the radar. ठीक है. You can see here. ठीक है. स्टील टेक्नोलॉजी जिससे वो एक लो रह सकता है, एंड दैट विल हेल्प टू इवेड द रडार, एंड इट इज अ काइंड ऑफ मिलिट्री टैक्टिक्स nowadays being used electronic countermeasures, and it covers a range of methods used to make personal aircraft, ships, submarines, missiles, satellite, ground satellites. Just the information you can download in the PDF also and read to that, and it correspond to the military camouflage for these part of the electromagnetic spectrum, that is the multi-spectral camouflage they can achieve there. What is supersonic speed? It is the speed of an object that exceed the speed of sound, that is Mach 1 से ऊपर. I have just told you. So for objects traveling in dry air of a temperature at sea level, more than 3 that is the supersonic, and more than 5 known as the hypersonic missiles. ठीक है, ये एक बेसिक डेफिनेशन है, ये भी आप पढ़ लेंगे. नाउ क्रूज मिसाइल, जस्ट आई टोल्ड यू, guided missile used against terrestrial or naval targets that remains in the atmosphere. So it can target the terrestrial, ground based and the naval targets. Okay, so unlike the ballistic missiles which has a different parabolic, and the majority of its flight is in the constant speed before hitting the target, and it's remain lower क्योंकि बताया था, आई टोल्ड यू 15 से 20 आसपास इसका एल्टीट्यूड अचीव करता है ये. So based on that, let's see the questions we have. The BrahMos missile के बारे में, and it is a long range nuclear capable supersonic cruise missile system with the limited, okay, it talks about that it has with the deployment limited from air and land platform. No, it is not limited. It can be launched from sea level also, sea also, ठीक है, from the submarine से भी it can be launched. It is one of the fastest cruise missile and capable of traveling at a speed up to Mach 3. Yes, true. Nothing wrong in that. Okay, nothing wrong in that. True it is. One is wrong. Second is true. Third statement, it is embedded with the stealth technology with the fire and forget principles. Yes, true. It has that technology, fire and forget, stealth technology, just we have discussed. There's a low radar signature. Yes, true. So 2, 3, 4 are correct here. So we have option 2. 3D as correct. 2, 3 and 4. I hope you got the options here and the concepts are clear to you. We'll see you in the next time with the more concept. Thank you very much. Take care.